My next guest, he is a professional mixed martial artist with a record of 6 wins with 4 losses. He was formerly on the Ultimate Fighter season 29 cast. Please welcome onto the show, Micheal Gillmore. How you doing, Michael?
Doing great. How about you?
Doing great, man. Thank you for taking the time this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your show.
Awesome, man. Now, how's everything been for you right now? I can see you're in some gym clothes there, working out.
Yeah, started today with workout one of two, and
Okay,
that's typically how my Wednesdays go.
man. Now you're in fight camp, right?
Correct. Yeah, I
Nice.
fight February 26th.
Oh, I'm very excited to see that. Now, before we get into the fight, and obviously it's going to be a huge fight for you on February 26th, I want to talk about just your early MMA career. You had a long journey. You were on the Ultimate Fighter, but the story didn't start there for you, right?
Correct. Yeah, I started MMA shortly after college. I played college football. I ran track in college. When that was all finished, I was looking for something to be competitive at. I still had the desire to compete, and I found a local gym um, with that was doing MMA. I didn't know if I was going to compete or at what level I was going to compete, but I wanted to train, and I knew like pickup basketball games or things like that just wasn't doing the trick for me. So I found a gym, started training MMA, and 10 years later, here we are.
And 10 years
Yeah. Yep.
sounds like a long journey.
Yes, sir. This year is my 10-year anniversary of MMA.
Now, so you were a football player in college,
Correct. Yep.
and did you have any
Uh,
aspirations to go on to the next level?
oh, definitely. I played Division II
Okay.
football, and I was actually being looked at by NFL scouts my senior year. I had 6 touchdowns through our first 6 games, and so I had um, people seriously having interest in me. But then I suffered a knee injury, dislocating my knee, ending
Uh,
the season at that point. Too late in the season to have a medical red shirt, so I didn't get to have another year, to rebuild that. And unfortunately, with a knee injury like that, the speed and agility that was required for that level of football just never came back.
Now you're a high level athlete. Now, how was it tough to be able to get back to normal dealing with an injury like that? Because nowadays, you tear an ACL and everyone's like, oh, he'll be back next year, right? But I think people take for granted that you're just going to heal up that quick. I mean, we've seen some crazy things like Cam Akers for the Rams, right? Tore his Achilles, came back within 5-6 months. He's playing now.
Yeah.
How hard was it for you?
Um, it was definitely a difficult recovery because it wasn't
Okay.
just the ACL for me. It was a meniscus that was torn in actually 2 different directions. So they removed it, and so my surgery was different because
Yeah.
it involved the doctor surgically breaking my leg um,
Jesus.
to do some additional work in there. So I never got back to um, what would be required to play college football, or even to play football after that, with the side to side agility, running routes. I played receiver, so running the routes and really planting, especially on that leg, proved to be difficult, and to compete at that level, you can't have any setbacks, and it never came back fully, to be able to play football, which it was terrible. But finding MMA, I don't need that the same type of athleticism or agility to compete in MMA. So it's not a hindrance in MMA like it would be
Yeah.
and prove to be during football.
Now, how long after the surgery, football, college, how long after that did you find MMA?
I believe it was about a year and a half
Okay.
that I found MMA, and then my first amateur fight was 6 months after starting MMA.
So from the surgery and the football to about 2 years later, that's when you had your first fight.
Yeah, yep,
Now,
roughly.
how long did it take you to be able to be physically active after a surgery like that?
Um, the one where they broke my leg, surgically broke my leg, that one took me out for the longest amount of time. That was I would say 7 months to where I was able to really run again. I think 7 months after that, I ran a 5K was my barometer of when I was going to be able to back and felt comfortable running on it again. And I didn't do any training for the 5K. It was just it was something I just got up and started doing, and that's really showed me that I was able to get back to working out and doing the things that I needed to do to get back in shape.
Now, it's not a nice thing. The way you're saying that, they broke your leg to repair the things they needed to repair. Sounds pretty brutal. And, to some of the audiences, to the audience here, now to them, everyone's overcome some sort of adversity, right? I think that makes you stronger. There's some days that it just seems really hard. I mean, it really builds up on you. How did you get through that, Michael?
Um, it wasn't my first injury that I had to work through. I also tore my shoulder in football the year before, actually, and had some really great physical
God.
therapy. And yeah, football is brutal on the body. I played 15 years of it. So those injuries just came towards the end of that career. But I'd worked through injuries before, and a lot of it's mental, and then good people around you with regard to doctors and physical therapists. The physical therapists, I've been fortunate enough to have them, the therapists who are focused on athletes. So they knew that my goal wasn't just, the activities of daily living type things, walking up and down the stairs, brisk walk, whatever that people just try to get back to. I wasn't trying to get back to desk work. I was trying to get back to being an athlete. And so the physical therapy for athletes is much more aggressive. And so it's more painful during the physical therapy, but it really works and can get athletes back quick and sometimes stronger than they were even before.
Now, so 2 years from that, you had your first amateur fight. How many did you have in your career?
I had 11 amateur fights. I was 9-2 as an amateur.
Okay.
And so here in Michigan, the amateur scene was much bigger than I've seen in other states. Some people have 4 or 5 amateur fights. I was fortunate enough to get 11 in, and it was, I didn't know if I was going to turn pro. I had a
Okay.
career going, and I didn't know what the next steps were going to be. And I was set to fight for an amateur title belt. And then my coach said that a promoter had contacted me about taking a professional fight. So I backed out of the amateur fight. And then a month after that, I took my first pro fight. And then it just kind of realized the dream of just being a pro athlete is all that was at that time. And then it just it's like a disease being an athlete. I think
Yeah.
you keep seeking that high of winning, especially in MMA. It's really different from football in that respect, that when you win in MMA, it's a rush,
It's an individual
regardless of how
thing.
you win. Yeah. That moment, it's individual, somewhat primal,
Yeah.
when you're able to win. And then the losing, those of us that have lost, I mean, it's about as low as you could possibly get. So it's a roller coaster of extreme highs and extreme lows, but the way you feel after you win, and it keeps people going. So after my first professional fight, I was like, I definitely, it's just chasing that high of winning, and that adrenaline from it.
Now, obviously, the journey was long in, and you were 6-3 at the time. You will, I believe, what you auditioned for the Ultimate Fighter.
Uh, yeah, because of COVID, it was slightly different than years past,
Okay.
and it actually the filming date got pushed back a few times because of COVID. But there was an interview process with it, and then I got selected to be part of the 10 middleweights that they brought out to Vegas,
Yeah.
um, and I think 9 or 10. And when they selected us to go out to Vegas, we did our medicals and quarantined and all that. And then it was at that point that they decided who was going to be on the show and who was going to be alternates. And unfortunately, I was chosen to be an alternate. But then, I was, luckily enough to have stayed around Vegas, and then get picked up as an alternate. Unfortunately, for the other fighter, Miles, he
Yeah.
suffered an injury and couldn't continue, but you know, just worked out to my benefit.
Yeah. I mean, injuries are part of the game. You know, you as an athlete know that, you know, it happens. Now, so okay, so the story was, you know, you stayed in Vegas after that. What happens in the process? Because I'm assuming you stayed in on your own risk, correct?
Yes. Yep. I was lucky enough to have my dad,
Okay.
who his job moved him to Vegas a few years ago, and so I was able to have a place to stay. And since I'd already quit my job in Michigan, there was nothing to come back to right away. I mean, I might have my family, but work wise or anything, there was nothing to come back to. And talking with the producers, I was told that there hasn't been a season yet where an alternate hasn't been used. Um,
Okay.
and so the options were, you know, they were just going to fly me home and then let me know if I, you know, if I was going to be needed as an alternate. But I guess keep in mind, I wasn't the only alternate. There was other middleweight alternates that were also brought out and told that they were
Same thing.
alternates just like I was. So I talked with my then fiance, now wife, and my dad, who was there in Vegas, and was like, "Well, we'll just stay." And they were still going to fly me back out whenever I wanted, but I told them I'll just stay here in Vegas, you know, and if you need me, you know, give me a call. And I was going out to eat with my dad and my cousin, who also lives in Las Vegas, and I got a text from the producer just asking, "Hey, can you make weight on Wednesday?" And this was
I
it
love
was
those.
Monday. Yeah, it was like Sunday night or Monday night. I can't remember exactly. And they couldn't, because they're you know, they're filming. They still can't tell me anything, because if
Yeah,
they didn't need me, um, then then I can't know any of the information that's going to be
yeah,
on the show. So all
of
I
course.
got the text was, "Can you make weight? And then can you go do a COVID test?" Um, and I didn't know until I got into the house and was talking to the guys even how, um, you know, what the injury was, uh, to Miles. And then I didn't know until I watched the show exactly what his journey was and how I got to be on the show. So
Wait, so
that
you
was
didn't know?
no, they didn't
Oh,
give me any of that information. And the fighters too, and you can see on the filming of the show, Miles kept a lot close to the vest because he wasn't sure if he was going to fight, wasn't going to fight. You know, he wanted to consult with the doctors and everything. So even some of the fighters in the house when I came in didn't know some of the information that I learned watching, you know, watching the show. So yeah, it was weird kind of coming in like that, really not knowing.
what the hell
You know,
happened?
all the circumstances that led to me being there.
Yeah, and you know, so I've had the Team Ortega on. We did like a reunion show, and they were all telling me that they had no idea, like when they saw like the show unveil where, you know, he just didn't want anyone around when the doctor was speaking to him, and that's his right. But they were shocked. They didn't know.
Yeah,
They didn't know. They're like, what the hell? So it's one of those gnarly things, man. Like you're living there, and there's still things that you had no idea what were going on while
right.
you were living there.
Well, in and that's by design by the fighters, I guess, because they have, you know, each day there's practice, you know, 2 practices a day, and you're training, and some, you know, you get banged up a little bit. Guys are constantly um, to the PI for physical therapy or to see the trainers there, or sometimes to the doctors, but you don't say anything to the other fighters, even on your team,
Okay,
because the way the show works is you might end up fighting those people. So you don't want them to
true.
know what's bothering you. You know, if you're injured now, if you're going to the doctor after you had lost or something, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're
Yeah.
still in the tournament, people leave all the time. You know, producers pick them up and they leave to go somewhere. You know, and you might know that they're going to get some
Checked
sort
up.
of treatment, but you don't really know exactly what it is or what the focus is. And and I think that was the case with Miles. He didn't want anybody to know, just in case he did fight, did stay. He didn't want anybody to know that he was suffering from an injury.
Now, unpopular question, Michael. Unpopular question. You know, you're an athlete. You dealt with injuries. If you were in that same situation, would you have fought?
There's no chance I would have left. Yeah, I would definitely would have fought.
You'd have fought, even if
Um,
it meant like just tearing your knee.
yeah, it sounded like either it was a strain or maybe a meniscus. So I have a tremendous amount of knowledge on knee injuries because of what I've gone through.
Of course.
And I don't I don't know Miles, so I'm not going to take anything away from what he was feeling. He's got a,
Sure.
at that time, he's got a perfect record he's trying to defend, right? So that could have played
Yeah.
in his mind of, am I going to hurt myself long term? Is this moment worth a potential long term, or losing that 0 on my record? um this is going to be televised. Am I going to look bad on TV, fighting with an injury and then not performing? So
Yeah.
there's probably so many things that he
Runs
thought
through you.
about when he made his decision. But I know for me personally, there's no chance that I would have left the show for that. It would have had to be like a complete ACL tear with no stability in my leg for me to
Or lose your
complete.
leg.
Yeah, for me to not have competed at that moment. But again, I'm
Yeah,
not judging Miles in any way
for sure.
for his decision, because he had different things that he had to factor in. And he's younger than I am also, so
Yeah, he's a young guy.
he's got some time. So me, it was almost like, something's got to be facing the wrong way for me not to fight.
No, no, absolutely. And you know what? With him, like I don't know what it's like to be an MMA fighter, but for just from watching, because you can only judge off what you see. I felt like it was the right decision for him because, like what Brian said, I just remember watching Brian say, to him, it's torn. It could be a
Right.
sprain, it could be a lot of other things, but the mentality is a big thing. If you think it's torn at first contact, you're gonna go down. That
Yeah.
mental thing.
If you're focused on that, or your knee during the fight, you get hurt. I mean, if
Yeah.
that's something you can't get out of your mind. And so some of the guys told me that I think he had a baby on the way, or that was recently born or something. So maybe there's some guilt,
Mm.
for being away for so long with, again, no access. You don't get to talk to anybody. There's no TV, no internet, nothing, no newspapers. There's nothing that you get from the outside world while you're in the house.
It's insane.
Um, so, again, there's a lot of factors, and maybe it was the right decision for him at that time.
Yeah.
Um, but only time will tell that for him. So, but
Yeah.
his decision helped me get on the show, and
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't want anybody to be injured like that and miss out on an opportunity. But it did happen, and I'm thankful that I got an opportunity.
Absolutely. He just signed with Eagle FC.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, he just signed with Eagle FC a couple weeks ago. So he's with Khabib's new promotion. So
Good.
hopefully
Yeah,
it works out for him.
yeah, and it should. I mean, as long as you get your mental um, faculties back and back in the fight game, and taking care of whatever he needs to with his family, and then get the treatment he needed on his knee. Again, he's got a good record,
Yeah.
and so yeah, he'll bounce back, I'm sure. And then I'm positive if he was selected to be on the Ultimate Fighter, it's not going to be the last time he gets an opportunity like that.
No, absolutely. Now, so for you, Michael, how long were you there? So you got a text Monday, COVID test, weight, you made weight. I'm assuming you reported there Wednesday. You talked to the boss?
Yeah. So I think it was Tuesday night that the Tuesday night that I came in, and on the show when they filmed me walking into Dana, I didn't know that I was walking in to meet Dana. I didn't know any of that. They put a microphone on me and then just walked me right in, and then I'm meeting. I find out on the way that I'm going to be talking to Dana, but I didn't know it was anything that's going to be recorded. And they only showed some of it, not even the whole time talking with him. So it was very positive getting that chance to meet with him and talk with him about my story and being there, and getting that opportunity. So it was it all happened so fast, from being dropped off to being
Yeah.
mic'd up to talking to Dana, then being introduced to the teams. I didn't know what team I was on or I would be joining walking out until they announced it. I had no idea. They kept me in the dark, the same as they kept everybody in the dark up until that moment.
Now, Dana's a leader. He's a businessman. Contrary to what a lot of people think, I think he's a great businessman. And I think most people feel like that. Obviously, there's the haters. People are hating. I think that's like the popular thing to do now. But
Right.
he's got a presence to him. Successful. You
Yeah.
40 million in the bank. He's helped make the sport what it is today. Is it intimidating walking into the room with this guy that has such a huge presence?
It's it's definitely intimidating at first in that situation. So that wasn't the first time that I'd met him. I'd met him
No.
a couple times before because I had cornered teammates
Okay.
in UFC fights, and like I was in the corner for Joaquin Buckley when he had that
Okay.
spinning kick. And shortly after, right after that, I mean, we met with Dana, but the focus was obviously on Joaquin and then my other teammates that have met him.
Of course.
So it is a little bit intimidating. He has a presence that commands the attention and basically respect. They're especially a new fighter coming in like that. But he, I mean, he says what he means and he means what he says. And I don't think that you can, I mean, yeah, you're right. He's got his haters, but
Yeah.
it's because people respect that. And again, he's free to change his mind at any point in time. But when he says something, he means it. So when when I was meeting with him and he said, that I was somebody that he likes, somebody stay ready. Like it feels good to hear that and be recognized for that, and then know that he's not bullshitting,
Yeah.
because
100%.
because of somebody like that that means what they say. You don't have to guess like, oh, is he just blowing smoke, or is he like trying to prep me up? Is this something for the show? There was none of that because of who he is.
Of course.
And it definitely feels good as a fighter to get that recognition from him that way.
I mean, he said, you're his kind of guy, you're his kind of
Yeah,
fighter. That's what you
yeah,
are.
yeah.
So
And that hearing that, I mean, it just it pumps you up a little bit. Just hearing that, I got goosebumps hearing that, and then him praising me, and then it just at that moment, it was okay. I made the right decision to leave the job for this opportunity, to stay in Vegas. So I made the right decisions that led to that point, because when you quit a job like I did, it wasn't just a an hourly job. It was a career
doesn't
job. I'd been in the industry for 10 years, at that particular company for 6 years. So it wasn't just like leaving an everyday job. And then when I was an alternate, you question that decision, and I was about to be married in just, I think 6 months after, no, less than that, after that decision. And so you're really rolling the dice there. And I was like, man, I've made the wrong decision.
yeah.
And so at that moment, it was finally like, okay, it was for something at least.
Now, how scary is that?
To leave a job.
Yeah, like that for an
Uh,
opportunity that you may not plan out.
yeah, well, when I left the job, I thought there was no chance it wasn't going to work out. It wasn't until I told that I was the
Yeah.
alternate where it like sank in um, that I was like, oh man, that was not smart. Um, but it was not scary because of the support of my wife, who didn't hesitate um, to immediately support the decision and say, "Oh yeah, of course you have to go take that opportunity." And her response was, "We'll figure it out." So it
Sounds like a
was
good
not scary.
person.
Oh, she's been fantastic this whole time with it, and this process, because um, I'm still not working full time and bringing in anywhere near the money that I was bringing in when I was able to work full time and have a salary job.
Yeah.
Um, like that. So no, the support of her has made it so much easier and not as um, scary. But as a person and as a man, I do. There is that burden that okay, a lot is being put on her. Something's got to come from this. I got to produce. Um, and not performing on the show, coming in so last minute. These guys got time to train with their coaches.
They did.
Up until that point, they've been, you know, they've learned things from them. Just, I came in, met Dana, found out what team I was on, cut weight, weighed in, and then fought all within 2.5 days, I think would be the total amount of time. And it wasn't that I wasn't ready to fight or ready for the opportunity. It's like Gilbert, like there's no excuse to the extent of I came in and I wasn't ready to fight. It wasn't like a last minute fight that I came off the couch for. I was ready to fight. Just he had a game plan. He was able to work on a game plan with his coaches, and I wasn't able to have a game plan that could be worked on leading up to the fight.
Yeah.
It was almost like the amateur days when you just show up and just fight, and at that level. And the caliber fighter that Gilbert is. That won't work.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
And there's more context to that
Yeah.
for sure.
So so I was ready for the moment. I was excited for the moment, and just the fight didn't go anywhere close to what I thought it would go.
No, absolutely. And in your defense here, I know you're not making excuses, but in your defense as well, I mean, you're in a brand new freaking environment. There's cameras on
Yeah,
your face right away
that that
within the
part was
preparation.
definitely yeah, that part was definitely weird to get used to. I've
And
never
get ready
been
for a fight.
right. Yeah. Well, and get ready for the fight. So I'm trying to cut weight, but I still have to do all the promo stuff that the guys had already done 2 weeks prior. So uh, the the intros that you see for the intro of the show,
Yeah.
and the pictures like that, that was all done that very first night that I was there. So they took all the guys back to the house. They kept me back, and I had to do it's like an hour and a half of like photo shoot stuff and video so that they can have their film of me for their intros.
Yeah.
So that was yeah, it was a lot at once. You didn't get a lot of time to really focus on the fight or the opponent. Um, but again, I was ready to fight. It just, you come in without really a full game plan, and it's not the smartest way to do it, but it's an opportunity I had to take.
Now, how long after that, when you got there, were you on the show? On the ground?
Um, I think it was a total of 17 or 18 days, I think,
Okay,
because
so
I
about two and
wrote
a half weeks.
I wrote every single day,
Okay.
and numbered the days, and I think it was 17 or 18 days total.
Okay, so you got there about what, halfway through?
It was almost exactly halfway through the filming.
Awesome. And what's the biggest lesson you took from this experience?
Um, hmm, I think there's not really one big lesson that I took, but a lot of little lessons just from the training,
Okay.
and the caliber of coaches that we had, with Brian and Henry Gracie specifically, was a lot. Coach Paul too, with his wrestling, was a great benefit. So a lot of things that they taught us, and I got to learn the 2 weeks after, what has been extremely beneficial to me, both training wise, and just overall skill wise, that I was able to learn in that 2 weeks. That you know, it, I missed the first 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
I can't imagine how much more I could have got out of it being there those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But even down to um, all of the contestants on there, fantastic men. I hope the success for everybody, every single person that was on the show, both teams, all the coaches that were there on both teams, Ortega, Volkanovski, fantastic people.
Yeah.
Um, the producers were great on the show. So for me personally, overall, was a great experience. I hate that I missed out on the first 2 weeks of it, because of how much more I could have got out of it.
For sure. Do you talk to anyone to this day on the show?
Uh, Actually, Andre was the person I kept in contact the most. And they had us, they scheduled us to fight each other, obviously. I still message Brian every once in a while, even Volkanovski,
Yeah.
keep in contact with him. And then social media stuff with everybody. I try to do my best to share or everybody, all the contestants on there, so that their profile can build as well and show support for them. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, but even now, Andre, I would say is the fighter and cast member that I talk to the most out of everybody on the show.
Definitely. We love Andre here at Critical Condition. I was in a fantasy football league with Josh Reddinghouse.
Okay, how do
He
you do?
won. He won. He
He's smart,
cheated.
isn't he?
Yeah, he
Yeah, he
cheated.
cheated.
Okay.
I don't
Oh,
know if it's
Josh
good to get
freaking
into.
Reddinghouse.
I don't know if it's good to get into those things with CPAs. They're too smart.
Oh
They,
man.
they know the numbers.
So he won, but the two times he played me, I whooped him. I
Okay.
just I just got eliminated early in the playoffs, man. Or the
Uh,
second round. I was playing against T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, man. Go figure. Those
okay. So
guys
you,
drop those guys drop about 40 to 50 points. I'll do it to you. But
yeah.
so Josh Reddinghouse is one of the smartest guys there. And Dan's fighting Dan Argueda's fighting, I believe, February 4th. That's why I actually have a hat on today, because he's shaving his head and I'm letting my hair grow out until he
Okay.
makes his weight. So Anyone in the audience asking themselves why I'm wearing a hat, it's just the hair's getting too crazy for me. I can't look
Gotcha. No,
can't look crazy there
he
on camera.
I was actually planning on driving to Chicago to go watch his fight. But something came up that where my wife and I can't make it to go watch his fight because Chicago is only 3 hours from us.
Yeah,
But tomorrow I'm driving to St. Louis. I've got a teammate, Charles Johnson, who's the flyweight champion of LFA.
nice.
Um, he's a teammate of mine, and he fights Friday to defend his belt in St. Louis, which is his hometown. So,
Shout out to him.
big, yeah, big fan of LFA. They're a great promotion, doing great things for their fighters, and Dan was going to show out for them, and he'll get his shot also.
Yeah, I definitely don't doubt that. Real quick, as we're nearing the end, Michael, I'm gonna ask you a couple fight picks here. Couple fight picks here before we end the show. What do you think about the Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou fight?
Um, I think Cyril Gane might have his number. Might get it done. I think Francis has shown improvement, obviously, between the first Stipe fight and the second Stipe
Yeah,
fight with his wrestling, takedown defense, and all that. But Cyril Gane for heavyweight gives you all of the tools. It's like um, a young Alistair Overeem with the
yeah.
skills that he possesses standing up and the way that he moves. But again, with Francis, he's got those bombs in his hands. So if Cyril Gane can take those, and he got hit a couple of times by Derek Lewis, right? And he took
Yeah.
those and still performed. So
Yep.
I think he's got more tools than Francis. Even though Francis is a scary man, I think Cyril Gane's got more tools, and I think that'll get it done for him.
Up. I like Gane. I like Gane. It's gonna be, even though I think I'm done for betting against Francis Ngannou, who can just clip you with one and call it a day for you. So we
Right?
have that. The next one, we have Brandon Moreno versus Davison. I like Moreno in that fight.
I like Moreno also. I think uh, the two fights that they've had, even the one that was the majority draw, I thought Moreno won. I think he's got his number, and he's exciting to watch. His story is also fantastic too, because
Love
getting
it.
to the UFC a little bit young, getting back, going back to LFA, getting some more work in, and then now becoming the champion. His story is great. I got to meet him at the PI. His energy is contagious. He's as genuine in person as he looks to be on camera,
Yeah.
at least in my experience. And Figueroa, I think I met him in Abu Dhabi. Not that he wasn't nice. There's just a lot of people around him.
Yeah.
I just got a better vibe from Brandon Moreno when I met him. So I'm going to go with him to defend his belt.
Brian Battle versus Trayshawn Gore. Big one.
Uh, I figured you'd ask me that one. So I'm definitely going with Team Ortega
Okay.
because that's who I spent the time with. I know that man, Trayshawn is a monster with his speed and his strength. Uh, there's no breaking his mental toughness. But Brian seems to get things done. It doesn't always look pretty, but he's durable. He's strong. And one thing that was different, so I trained a lot with Trayshawn, getting him ready
Yeah.
for his fight. So after I'm eliminated, I'm basically just a training partner at that point, and I did a lot of work with him. Um, he he's strong, but I think I was messing around with Brian Battle one time and just like got behind him, took his back, and he is heavy.
Brian.
So
Yeah, he's a big boy.
for 185, I think it's got to be bone density or something because he used to be a lot bigger and he put in the work and dropped his weight down and started MMA. So he seems real dense, which I think is what makes him as durable as he is. And he's creative, and I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. um but for consistency base and to be
Yeah.
supporter of Team Ortega, obviously I'm gonna pull for Trayshawn in that one, but I think it's going to be a really really good fight for both of them.
Now for you, Johnny Parsons, February 26th. It's going down. He is 8-2. Big fight
Yeah,
for you, man. How you feeling heading into this fight?
I feel great. It's really nice to get a fight that's not short notice. So
Yeah.
uh obviously the Ultimate Fighter was short notice, and then even the fight with
Andre.
Andre was 10 days, 10-day notice, real short. And to get ready for somebody who's a D1 wrestler, 10 days just isn't enough time to really get the work you need to. So I'm grateful that this one isn't a short notice fight. I like the fight. I think stylistically it makes a lot of sense for us to fight each other, and I no, I'm excited for it. I'm pumped to get this opportunity to get back in there, and you know getting my hand raised is my singular focus. Um, since I got signed and losing to Andre, my focus is getting that first UFC win and to get the ball rolling that way.
Now, do you have is it a multiple fight deal? Is this your last fight on your contract?
No, it's not the last fight on the contract, but
That's good.
I I'm treating it as if it were.
Okay.
And because the UFC, they can cut you
It's cutthroat.
basically when they want, and I'm realistic type person, and I know that this is a massive fight for me to win, and I'm more than confident going into this fight. I respect Johnny, um, and what he's been able to do up to this point. We both have 10 fights in our career. He just he's got me by a couple wins, but I think I have him with experience. And I do, uh, I, I know that I'm coming into this very confident that I'm going to get it done. I know he's durable, so I'm ready for a guy that's going to be able to take punches and last during the fight. A lot of his wins are with decisions um, because of his durability. His fight on the Contender Series, he went through. He went through and took some shots that first round, got dropped or was hurt pretty bad, and came back and ultimately won the split decision. So, um, he's no slouch. I don't take him lightly. I respect him, but I'm very confident in my skills coming into this fight.
What can the audience expect to see from Micheal Gillmore on February 26th?
Um, I think they're going to see a continuation of what I was able to do in the second round of Andre, being able to showcase my stand up. But I've evolved in different areas in the fight. My game plan, I'm not going to reveal it here because
No.
I don't know who's going to watch it, but I do believe that my team and we have a solid game plan going into this fight. And I'm fully confident that it will end with me getting my hand raised at the end.
Awesome, Micheal. Is there anything you want to let the audience know before we sign out?
Uh, no, just if you feel inclined, give me a follow on Instagram. The numbers there always help us as fighters with sponsorships and all that. If you're a small business and you're looking to sponsor a fighter, let me know. Message me. Other than that, I'd like to thank you for giving me the platform of your show to
Oh, no.
to reach people and talk to somebody new and just share my journey and experience up to this point.
Oh, well, thank you, Micheal. The honor is ours here at Critical Condition Sports. Thankful for you taking the time out of your busy day. You got another workout number 2 coming up later today. We wish you the best of luck on February 26th. We'll be watching. And thank you so much for your time again, man. Praying, hope everything goes well. And thank you for your time, brother. I appreciate it.
Great.
To all the audience out there, thank you for listening. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.